What do you get when you cross a Pokemon with a My Little Pony? I have no idea, but we're about to find out because I'm going to be transforming Applejack into a Bulbasaur. I'm removing her cutie mark with some acetone, but I'm going to leave her eyes in place. I'm not going to be removing those, but she is going to get all new hair, so I need to remove the head. You do that by twisting it to the side until it pops right off. To remove the hair, I'm going to use some big scissors and cut it all off as close to the root as I can possibly get. And then I'm going to go in with some teeny tiny scissors and cut the hair even shorter until it looks like this. But the hair is still inside of the head, so we need to remove the neck plug so that way we can absolutely remove all the hair from the inside. Sometimes you can remove the neck plug using some pliers, but this one's glued really good, so it's not gonna pop out. I'm gonna have to use my X-Acto knife, and I'm gonna make tons of little teeny tiny cuts all around the edge of the neck plug until I can just pop it right out. And of course, using the X-Acto knife is dangerous work, so make sure that you get your parents' permission with that if you're not old enough to be using an X-Acto knife. Once you can get inside the head, use your tweezers or pliers and just pull out all of that hair from the inside. It's glued in there, so you might have to scrape it out. And here she is. Her head is completely ready to be customized. Now let's remove her tail. I'm just going to cut the tail because it makes it a lot easier to remove the hair. And this neck plug will not come out with tweezers, so I'm going to have to use the same X-Acto knife method and just pull that neck plug out. And once you get the neck plug out, I would suggest snapping it back together with the head part of the neck plug. It'll make it easier later. Now you're just going to use your tweezers or your pliers, reach in there and pull that little tiny bit of tail out, and just like that, she is ready for new hair and ready to be fully customized. Make sure that that little silver washer pops out. Now it's time for some color. I found this Sally Hansen nail polish in Mintage, and I just thought it was the perfect shade of green blue for Bulbasaur. So that's what I'm going to be using to completely paint Applejack. So like I said earlier, I am going to save her eyes. I do not want to have to draw those back in. So I'm starting off by outlining her eyes with the nail polish, and then I'm going to go in and fully cover the head all over, and I'll let that completely dry. And it's very spotty, so I'm going to go in with a second coat of nail polish, and it looks awesome. I think it's a very good color match, and I'm just going to completely paint the body as well, and slowly but surely the transformation into Bulbasaur is starting. And I'll put a link to all of these nail polishes down in the description box below. So here's the body, it's all painted. I'm going to put it to the side and let it dry. The head is completely dry, so I'm going to start on Bulbasaur's spots. I'm using another nail polish by Sally Hansen called Fish Teal Braid, and using a very fine nail art paintbrush, I'm just going to randomly draw spots and squares and octagons and all different kinds of shapes all over her head and her body, so that way she looks just like Bulbasaur. I'm outlining all of these shapes first very carefully, and then I'm just going to go in and fill those spots in. And Bulbasaur has 3 distinct marks right on his forehead, so I'm going to put those on Applejack first, and then I'll just randomly start putting them all over the rest of the head and the body. And if you're going to use nail polish for this, my suggestion is to put just a little bit of nail polish on a piece of wax paper because it will dry out on you. It dries pretty quickly, so just put a little bit and then you can just keep adding a few more dots as it dries out, so that way you're not wasting anything. But of course, you can always use acrylic paints to recreate any of my customs. I just tend to use nail polish because I find it easier for me personally, and I already have a huge collection of nail polishes because I like doing my nails. Now it's time for the eyes, and Bulbasaur has red eyes, so I'm using some red acrylic paint, and I'm just gonna go in and cover all of the green and make it red. The acrylic paint is a little thin, so it's going to take about 3 coats to get a really good coverage, so that way you can really see the red in her eyes pop. And once that's in, I'm using some black acrylic paint and another fine brush to go ahead and draw her eyelashes back in. And I find that it's easier to draw in the eyelashes if you start from the outside and then go into the eye, opposed to the other way around. This way is easier, at least to me personally. So I got her main eyelash in, and then I'm going to go in and give her a second one. And that came out really good. I'm just going to seal all my work with some clear nail polish. And once it's dry, it's time for her new hair. I'm going to be using Envy from dollyhair.com. It's a vivid shade of green. I've taken a bunch of hair and I've cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut it in half one more time. So I'm going to be using strands of hair that are 1/4 the length of a full strand from dollyhair.com. To rehair, I'm going to be using my rehairing tool, and it's basically a pronged needle, and you take a small bunch of hair, and then this is how I do it. I put it on my finger, and then I kind of just gently run that first prong underneath all the hair, and it catches it just like this. And since it is sharp, you just press it directly into one of the holes on the head, and just like that, the first hair plug is in. You can see on the inside where the hair was attached, and then you're just going to repeat this process all over the head until it is completely filled in, and she has a gorgeous new mane of Envy green. Once all the hair plugs are in, you're going to have to secure the hair. To secure the hair, I'm using some no-sew glue. I'm just going to squirt it directly inside the head, and then use a Q-tip to distribute that glue evenly all throughout the inside, and then let that completely dry. While that's drying, I'm going to work on the tail. I have a bunch of hair here, and I'm just going to be using a twist tie, and I'm going to twist very tightly. And then I have this little piece of hair, and I'm going to put that twist tie directly into the hole, the tail hole. Grab my tweezers and pull that hair halfway through. You only want it to go through about this much. You don't want to pull it all the way through, or you're going to have to do it again. Now I'm removing the twist tie, and I'm going to secure the tail using a zip tie. So use that zip tie, and there we go. Secure that very well. You do not want any of the tail to fall out later. And then you can cut off the excess zip tie, pull the hair through, and just like that, Applejack has a new tail. And I'm going to trim the tail and make it short. Applejack's final transformation into Bulbasaur is going to be Bulbasaur's bulb. Now, if you wanted to, you could make it out of air dry clay, But I picked up this little tiny Bulbasaur figurine. I'll put a link down below. And what I did was I actually cut off the bulb from his back using an X-Acto knife because it was the perfect size for the pony. And I'm just going to hot glue it on. Once the hot glue is completely dry, you can attach the head back to the body, and I'm going to be doing that using some Gorilla Glue, but you could use E6000 or super glue or whatever glue you have around the house. And here she is. Here is Applejack, dressed up as a Bulbasaur from Pokemon. I went ahead and gave her a cutie mark that looks like a Pokeball, and I think she came out awesome. And I kept her hair short. I felt that it looked better with the Bulbasaur look, and I would love to hear your suggestions, little pandas, on names for her. I was thinking maybe like Applesaur or something like that, but let me know your ideas down in the comments below. And if you have a suggestion for another Pokemon My Little Pony mashup, also let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, little pandas. Until next time, bye. You can find me online. For the latest news and updates for the channel, you can follow me on Instagram, MandaPanda Toy Collector, like my Facebook page, facebook.com/MandaPanda Toy Collector, or you can add me on Snapchat, MandaPanda TC. Want to mail something? You can. Send it to MandaPanda P.O. Box 65105, San Antonio, Texas 78265.